Welcome to the Miami E-Prix.
Welcome back to Circuit Breakers, covering Formula E's first ever Miami E-Prix after a
It's
big
not-
old...
No,
What?
it's not the first Miami E-Prix.
Homestead.
This is not even Miami, Dallas.
Uh,
this is Homestead. No, they raced Miami like season 2.
yeah, but that was Miami
And they
proper.
okay. Fair clarification. Yes, they really alluded to this being a Miami race, only to have them basically spinning in a infield dirt patch without a. I'm not ready to rant yet. You know, I have so much to rant about in this. I'm not ready to just fire off.
Well, pump your brakes, use your regen, and I'll warm you up. But just to get it off right off the bat, let's do a recap. We had, 50 something days. Thank God Nick DeVries came up from his little hollow and didn't see his shadow. So that means we get more Formula E races. But we did agree to, comply with the FIA and the language rule. And we started that pretty much in the middle of the Jeddah episode. And we racked up a tally, Taylor. Actually, you racked up quite a tally. At a 10,000 euro fine per curse word for me, I owe them about 40,000 euros. You, on the other hand, owe the FIA 250,000 euros. That equates to more US dollars, which is what I assume you would be paying in. And then there's another one. And you've come off hot. Now, I understand that this race made you pretty hot.
I'm not even gonna play around or mince words here. I genuinely and thoroughly despised this race. We were promised Homestead Miami Raceway. That we were going to be brought to Miami. We knew, you and I, as unfortunate U.S. citizens, know what Miami is, which is a smoke and mirrors trick to make you think that it's glitz and glamour, but really it's a bear trap waiting to chew you up and spit you out. Like, it is not a fun space. And now, do you remember when there was that really funny, like, viral, like, Willy Wonka exhibition where, like, a bunch of parents got tricked into buying tickets to this specialized Willy Wonka experience because some guy made a bunch of AI posters for Willy Wonka?
I do remember this. It's kind of like the Fire Festival for like families and kids, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was like that. It was like this dystopian, a depressed Oompa Loompa behind this like candy bar, who's just like, I just got to pay off some loans, that is that, right? So you give them something that they're going to be really excited about, and then you actually show them the result. Tried and true, all of history has had that, the bait and switch. They did so much promo work for this race, showing everyone Miami, specifically Miami, right? Palm trees, beautiful cerulean oceans and beaches. And then they dump us into the swamp. A very, very quick Google Maps search would show you.
I'm pulling it up right now because we've done this before with Tempelhof, showing how big it is. Here's Miami. Look at all these streets, the hustle and bustle, South Beach, Miami Beach, all these places. Yeah. This is where all of the shots were for this race. And then we head down the one. Oh, there's Homestead. And, there's Miami Speedway. Let's see what the road right outside of Miami Speedway looks like.
It is the most depressing space. Like, you could have dropped us. Now, if I were, I don't know, like a phenomenal Portuguese race car driver, and I was told we're going to race in Miami, I'd be excited, right? If I land and they drive me an hour and a half out of Miami to go dump me in this, like, just filth-ridden swamp, I'm gonna reconsider my racing choices. I'm gonna be like, why do we even come to the US? Because frankly, like, there's absolutely no way this race was as successful as Portland had been.
No. And the funny part about it too is when the calendar was released, we're like, Miami's the one US race this year. Should we go to Miami? And then when I looked up where Homestead actually was, because I've heard of the track before, but like looking at it on a map, and then you would reinforce it. You're like, we're not going there. There's no shot.
Yeah. And like, don't get me wrong. This track is great for a bunch of different types of racing. GT cars race here.
Mhm.
You know, there's a lot of like track circuit racing. I mean, it's obviously an oval, so they do a lot of oval racing, you know, like stock cars and like that. That's great. That's what this track was designed for. This track is too big for Formula E cars. And I don't mean like necessarily like the track is too long, because like, yeah, the track probably is a little bit too long to like host these races, but I mean that the track is literally too big. The cars look stupid on this track. Like there's such small cars that they look like, it looks like when people do those like speed comparisons in like a Assetto Corsa where they have like a go-kart and then like, you know, one of the like super touring buses and they race them. Like they look like the go-kart,
Yeah.
you know? And the other thing that like really scorned me on watching this was I couldn't even tell what turn they were at. All of the turns looked the same. Like I was like, maybe this would be cool because there's going to be like a big, you know, like banked turn for a portion of the track. Like they're really going to get up to speeds. They're going to have some like, I don't know, like NASCAR, like, or IndyCar around the outside kind of racing. They avoided all of those portions of the track for the most part, and they just like have them bounce up and then bounce down off of that like ledge a few times. But like it just, not a single part of this worked. And I know that this was like Formula E sitting down and saying, nobody knows where Portland is. Like Portland's not a cool city.
Right.
We got to do a cool city. We got to do Miami. That'll be fun. Let's go do Miami. People know Miami. People know Miami's awesome, right? So it just felt like this narcissistic decision to throw these cars where they don't belong to a group of people that don't care about them. And if you're from Miami and you went to this race, like, please let us know. Cause I also don't mean to like, on, you know, being from Miami or anything like that, or Homestead or Florida for that part in general. I'm saying like, I cannot imagine that this was a fun racing experience for you. Like truly to have silent cars driving past you at like not even the fastest they've ever been. It is just a wrong setting for Formula E. Like truly the only identifiable portion of this track that I could say I remember from the race was the goddamn chicane. And that's because it was awful. It ruined the race for a lot of like the grand total of this race is this sloppily put in chicane to try to keep the cars from going too fast. I don't know, Dallas. Dallas, what was your opinion?
I'm going to keep that golden retriever energy. I thoroughly enjoyed it, as I do with most Formula E races.
Look at those wheels turn,
Yeah.
baby. Look at there's more. I'm glad we're racing again.
The reason being, and it wasn't like, yeah, you could sit there and easily say what's like, well, there hasn't been a race in almost 2 months. Like, of course, anything Formula E would be excited, but I feel like I was so conditioned. I am so conditioned to Formula E races that nothing matters until those last 4 or 5 laps. And arguably this was the most dramatic final 4 or 5 laps in a race in recent history. Not just over the last couple months, but since I started watching, because tracking this, starting off seeing Nick DeVries pull off in P1 for a little bit, be like, is that a Mahindra up in P1? What is going on?
Hey, I know. Honestly, like there was a fantastic turn of a lot of like points of this race that were incredibly exciting, and it was absolutely chaotic. But the biggest issue for me, right? Because you could say the same thing about Portland, right? Portland was an incredibly chaotic race. But the driver strategized and kind of like came back around to it. My issue with this race is that the chaos didn't even pay off. Like the racing was not even that interesting.
That is the beautiful flaw of Formula E, is it doesn't have to pay off in ways that we expect it to. And that's exactly what happened. Attack mode, there was a quarter of the field that still had time left at the end of the race. We haven't seen that before. And now that finishing order is going to be a little bit different than what the actual official finishing order is. It seems so much on brand for Formula E to just screw the pooch so hard with the rules, with the racing. And I was there for every second of it.
If there's anything that Formula E does flawlessly, it's arrive at a theoretical like ruling issue that they have never had to consider and then have to consider it immediately. Like to just like all of a sudden, what happens when we have a red flag and mathematically drivers cannot finish the race without a penalty? I don't know. I guess we find out, and you ruin the spectator experience for the people in the stands and the people at home.
Do you remember when you were a kid just having the idea of like playing a game and your friends involved to play this game, but you don't have the game fully flushed out yet in your head, so you have to make up rules as you go along? This is Formula E. This is a legitimate racing league. This is how they operate, and I love it. It is so juvenile and childish. It's perfect. I love it.
Like this is as dissatisfying a weekend for me as the entire Antonio Felix da Costa weekend. Like, hand to God, this weekend is like in my opinion worse than a Damper Springs.
That post race interview, he was so pissed.
Yeah, he was furious, and also like I'm gonna be honest. No matter what happened, frankly, he was not gonna do well. Like, frankly, he ultimately just got bullied by the luck and chance of it all, right? Because they did a very aggressive strategy using a lot of the stuff, and he got yellow flagged and red flagged on his strategy, and so he lost out because of that. And then the other side of that coin is if you play a very conservative strategy and you waited to use your attack boost, and you had a lot remaining, like enough to potentially do the majority of the overtaking that you did for the rest of the race, then you're punished also. So really, the only people that succeeded at this were people with the theoretical worst strategy. And that is the Pascal Wehrlein, who obviously it wasn't a good strategy, because had they added one more lap, oh dude, he was fucking toast. He was behind the McLarens, like everyone that had attack mode that got a penalty was ready to pass him had there been another lap. I mean, Norman Nato did, right? At the home stretch of it. DaCosta would have sunk like a stone even further. So frankly, Porsche should be absolutely kissing the feet of the stewards that decided the outcome of this race. But my like, oh my God. Lucas Degrassi is like, look, congrats on the podium. But like, what you need to understand is your team didn't do this. Like, frankly, your team actually sabotaged you to probably lose the race.
That Lola car was pace, and it was in the mix for the majority of the race. Cause I thought back to Jeddah where it's like, we saw the Degrassi in the Lola car kind of etch up with the attack mode and then fall back and become irrelevant. But he was sticking in there. So, I mean, you don't have to, explain Degrassi's prowess as a driver. The car has been questionable. So yes, they're kind of not a victim. What's the anonym to victim? Because they're not a victim of circumstance. They're a benefactor of circumstance. Because when they were pulling in, they signaled Pascal to come in that P1 placard, and then they were pointing at the Lola, and they're like, "You come here." I was like, "No way is there a Lola on a podium."
I mean, maybe that 8 weeks, they were able to put a good number in for the car.
Yeah,
that 8 weeks could have been a great software week for them.
Yeah,
or 2 months, right? We didn't really see that from Zane, but Degrassi is having the time of his life right now. Holy shit. I mean, theoretical finish was probably like P6, which is still frankly like probably pretty damn good for him. But we've dived into this territory already. I think we do need to talk a little bit about the events that led up to what happened, and then we can go into more detail of like what could have gone right. How could you have made a race that didn't piss off your most devoted fans, and some of your most devoted fans? I'm still sitting here thinking this was great. I really like this. Yeah. So like, let's get into some of the core details, right? Like, I think I'm going to hand it over to you. Yeah. Let's wind it all the way back to our pole sitter before all this drama of what happened at the end of the race. Let's go to the beginning of the race. Which also, by the way, I want to say this. I have a profound respect for Norman Nato. Like, historically, I've always thought he's a strong driver. To see him go back to Nissan, I was like, oh, that's a very smart move on Nissan. I thought for sure they were going to just keep little Fenny around. And I know it's not a popular opinion I have that Fenestraz was kind of a hack. But I do think like Kid did not have the same maturity behind the wheel that like Norman Nato has. And Norman Nato, a late bloomer, in a season, he's a late bloomer. This is actually pretty early in the season for him to start whipping his nuts out. And I'm like, hand to God, he pound for pound outperformed Oliver Rowland. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. First ever pole for Norman. Never had that before. So, we got this on team radio. I do love when we take a little bit extra time to let things sit and marinate and we get team radio before we record, because there's absolute gold in team radio videos. And one of the first clips was Norman Nato sitting in P1 front row of the grid and kind of wondering what the hell he needs to do.
I'm supposed to go when they go green light, correct?
Yeah, Norman, yeah.
Ah, ça fait longtemps que j'ai pas fait une pole.
When it goes green, you go. That's the most other guy's statement I've ever heard in my life.
Which Nato is like the perfect other guy because he's not another guy. He's shown up before. He showed up last year in Shanghai. He showed up at this race, aside from, Nissan and McLaren as a Nissan customer for the powertrains. They've been caught in some hot water, some controversy. They're the most controversial teams in Formula E right now as far as penalties go. Now, Sao Paulo.
Yeah, in fact, if you look at the entire season right now, Nissan theoretically won every race.
Yeah.
like
yeah.
the only thing that kept Nissan from winning every race was just bizarre Mario Party luck and chance. like oh, we got a weird drive-through penalty because of some power surge, or impossible to overcome race start.
Yeah.
Red flag restart.
I feel like you should be bragging more than you have been of calling that Nissan was going to be legit this year. And then with Oliver Rowland as well, because I think they're still the favorite. If they can somehow do, I don't know, a Ouija board or something to get their fortunes in good status, they're going to dominate.
Oh, especially because like Nissan is on the verge of bankruptcy. like give him this, you know.
This is the lone hope of the brand is to.
This is the Ken Burns Civil War of automotive. But I do think that, you know, especially after watching qualifying and everything, I was like, this race is going to be probably insufferable for a good majority of these drivers. Like, they're like, we're in the swamp. I can only imagine it doesn't smell great. Like, there's sections of Florida swamp where it's just so hot and so gnarly humid.
Yeah, those swamps smell like wet nickels. Like,
yes,
that's what portions of Florida smell like, and that is objective. I'm not being cruel.
If there are any listeners or viewers, please give us the most apt description of what this circuit smelled like, because I'm gonna like imagine it through European nostrils. I just gotta know.
Right, living in America, even though we're on the other side of the country.
Like, you know, I'll walk down a street in New York and be like, "Oh, that's a piss bag," right? Like, you know. But to the elite European nostrils, I just gotta know.
Yeah,
like,
those Euro palettes.
How frustrated they are to know that they are smelling a crowd's worth of back sweat.
I'm now thinking in retrospect, Sebastian Buemi didn't have any team radio, but I don't think we needed him on team radio because he probably was just going, bleh, bleh, just spitting
the flavor out,
just breathing in swamp air, just go, bleh, bleh.
Yeah. But I think one of the people that was clearly ready for an insufferable experience was Jake Dennis, who outspokenly, you know, is ready to kind of on races and experiences. I mean, I remember, like, you know, in Portland and things, you know, there's ups and downs to his perspective of a circuit. I think this is my favorite comment. Yeah. From a driver on what they're about to experience.
Well, and put this in perspective too. Like, this is on American soil. Like, this is an Andretti home race in Miami. And yeah, this is what Jake Dennis said.
Can someone bring me a banana so I can throw it in this wacky race?
This is before the race even started. This was at the beginning.
Oh no, Dallas. Again, a section of this track is raced by NASCAR. Like, it is a wacky race. It is not what they are trained for. Well, I guess that's not true. It is what they're trained for. The vast majority of this is what they're trained for. Also, I remember I have done so many laps. I have done so many laps on this circuit.
Yeah, same.
In Forza Motorsport 3, specifically. I didn't even recognize it until, like, I got to this couple of ugly chicane sections. I was like, I've raced this track. I always hated it.
That's surprising you say that, because when you said earlier that you couldn't recognize any turns, I was the exact opposite. I've driven miles and miles on this track throughout my life, and every camera shot, I'm like, oh, yep, that's where they're at. Oh, that chicane's real goofy. Who put that there last minute?
Well, yeah. And you know what? The thing that they cannot emulate in, like, Forza is the dirt clouds.
Yeah.
I mean, Dallas, we watched this completely separately, right? I watched this actually at a later juncture because the fact that I had a full day of work, and so I had this running behind a water heater at the shop that I run on a busy day, and every time I looked back at my phone to see what was going on in the race, there was this toxic smog cloud.
It was pocket sand.
Yeah. I was like, holy even the freaking like dirt looks poisonous. like can you imagine you're a European driver and you're going through your first couple of turns of a circuit you've never raced before, and you see someone dip a wheel and just blast this toxic cloud of sand? This
happened multiple instances, and I feel like over a couple laps where they're like, oh, these parts of the track get real dusty. It might have been like a smoke string strategy to drive over that.
It looks like a gender reveal party for like a sinister being
for lack of EPA regulations.
It's carcinogenic. Hold on. This is very specifically a gender reveal party for climate change.
What is it?
And you're just gonna drive straight into it. You're like, can you imagine you're Robin Friends at this point, and your visor is slightly up? Like, oh my god!
Well, most of the team radio video, which you can go on your own time and watch it, I feel like there are specks of things just flying constantly on the onboard cameras. Like this is not a clean track. This is not a clean part of the world.
Clean track. This is the dirtiest these cars have ever been. And like, they're just gonna throw them away. They're like, I think like my the most miraculous part of this too is just how big the clouds were too. Like there's a lot of like, I watch all racing, I watch IMSA, I watch WEC, IndyCar, all of that stuff. And when those cars dip a wheel, they'll splash a dust cloud, but this one like emerges it's like it's trying to take over as much of the track as possible. Like it looks like a supernatural phenomenon.
Yeah, it's a fissure to the gateway to hell.
Yeah.
And it's just barely breaking through.
And it happened almost every single lap, like on like multiple turns. I don't know what is underneath the grass in this section of the world, but it's sinister.
Yeah, well, and also too, the grass. If you've ever been to Florida and felt Florida grass, it's coarse, it's unforgiving.
Yeah, they're like, if they dip a wheel, they're gonna get a puncture.
Yeah, well, we did have a driver go off track onto that Floridian grass, none other than Jean-Éric Vergne.
Dude.
That's not the first time that he has had a moment going off the track.
Look at him go, baby! Oh,
manages to come back onto the circuit without too much.
So
I'm glad that you pulled that. I had almost an identical feeling when I saw him going off there. My thought was we're in Florida. Have you ever seen like the lawnmower racing?
Yeah.
Where people soup up a lawnmower. I was like, Jean-Éric Vergne is about to step out of his futuristic race car in a pair of overalls.
He has a future lawnmower racing.
Yeah, with one strap undone.
I don't understand how you could sit there and say, I really hated this race, because so far in breaking it down, it's been a lot of fun.
Dallas, this is the dumbest race Formula E has put on in my spectation. Like, as a spectator, watching, you know, like the past 5 seasons consistently, this is the lowest hanging fruit. This is the punching bag of all of the organized events they've put on. And that's saying a lot, because like, I remind you, they raced at a MotoGP circuit last year,
which was
and
cursed.
disqualified. They were going over sausage curbs basically on a flight path to the moon. This circuit, I would say, probably 20% dumber.
That's a calculated
And that's fair,
number.
because we are cutting, you know, our country is now cutting public education funding. So,
well, we had a doubleheader in Misano last year. Can you imagine if we had a doubleheader on this one with pit boost?
Oh my God.
Also as a factor.
Honestly, Dallas, that would have turned this around for me.
Oh, see, back to back, it would have been just two ways
We
to fuck it
waited
up.
2 months for this. Okay, so anyway, I don't know if it was just the circuit that started eroding people's brain cells, but Beckmann started getting a little plucky on track.
Yeah, he did.
Which frankly was the highlight of my watching of this. Is it just reminded me how much I love this sassy little German boy. Okay. It was a little German on German rubbing. But I remember hearing David Beckmann talk after he got his puncture, and like I just like started laughing at how funny he sounds when he's just like being bitchy.
Yeah, well, many of the drivers on the grid have their own alter egos born from this show. And let me remind everyone, David Beckmann is a pompous trust fund nightclub owning kid, and he sounds like it.
Dude, he just forced me off track. Man, what an idiot.
So you've got
Why?
low pressure. Which corner?
He forced me off in turn 10.
What
man.
corner, David?
10. I need
Which
to box.
which tire?
I think right tire, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what tire is punctured.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, this could be any of them. I don't even know. I don't even care anymore.
It's not even my problem.
Yes, I don't even know how he can get away with this. Such an idiot.
The funny part about this is cut out of how Pascal reacted. Pascal,
Yeah, Pascal's reaction was my favorite part of this. Broke my steering wheel.
yeah, and he's like,
Steering. Oh, wait, no, it's fine. It's fine.
yeah, and then when he got hit because Beckmann's wheel punctured by hitting
Dude, he
Pascal's.
fucking slammed him, too. You watch the onboard footage of Pascal. He is just driving, and this like London kamikaze, this Marvel Cinematic Universe Thunderbolt just blasts into the side of him.
Even I'll raise you one more of what's even funnier. Right when it happens, Pascal goes, "Who was that?" He's never seen a Cairo. He's never been that far back to see a Cairo. He didn't know who it was. He's like, "What is this car? My steering." And then it's like, "Oh no, we are good." So it's
It's fine. Actually, it's fine. Everything's okay.
let me go pass him again because he went into the pits. So we had Club Beckmann. Oh, actually, before we move on, I wanna be a little extra critical on the engineer because I applied for this job. I haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, his engineer was like, "Would you quit bitching and tell me what tire's wrong?"
Flip side. No, because he doesn't ask what tire. He says which corner. Like it's really important to know where he got hit in the race on the track.
So you've got low pressure. Which corner?
Which corner? Now, contextually, yes, like what corner of the car. But when you're racing and you're trying to keep a Gen 3 Evo from not going off the track with a punctured tire, when you hear corner, you think what just happened?
Two things you're wrong here. Okay. One, he is he is about to have unlimited real estate to go off track. He's about to have like literally a highway's width of track to deal with this puncture. That's one. Two, he doesn't even care about the puncture. He just cares about the fact that he made a dumb move and everyone saw him make a dumb move. So that's the only thing on his mind. It's not he heard which tire, which corner like 4 times, and he said, "I can't believe my race is over," to himself in his head. Oh, like as soon as that happened, it was just this like sad Euro beat just kind of drones into his head as he goes into his malaise, which also he was having a great weekend. And
well, he gonna learn. All it takes is one little flub up, and your time's done.
This was my favorite image of the entire race. It's like when everyone goes through this chaotic like endeavor, and we arrive to this photo of David Beckmann, and just like I can just like hear the like.
I need a freak to hold me tight.
I was really looking forward to him like getting some actual points. Also, can we actually rewind for like the past 50 minutes and talk about the fact that Kiro Race Co. has a Marvel Cinematic Universe livery on their car?
I meant to pull it, but I found another image on Instagram that kind of took center stage, which we'll get to very shortly. But yes, I believe that Idris Elba, now one of the co-owners of Kiro, is pulling some strings because we had a Marvel.
No, actually, hold on a second, because here's the reality. I learned a lot more about this team in the 35-second sales pitch that their team principal pulled, or their team owner pulled during the pit walk, where I nearly like whacked my head against my coffee table, because literally the most LA dude I have ever seen in my life talked at us on the pit lane about how he got this Marvel Cinematic Universe livery on his race car because they're an LA entertainment consulting group.
This is a very unique collaboration with Marvel Studios. We're a media investment firm, so this is in our DNA. This is a very unique collaboration. First ever full car livery collaboration for a movie premiere. Wow.
I felt like I was trapped. Like this has to be what it's like to walk into a meeting with this guy who's like, "Hold on, wait, before you say anything. My name's Curtis. I'm here with Kiro Race Co. We're a brand new outfit startup. Idris, wait. Don't go, Idris. I have great opportunities for you." We got
Hold on, no. The show didn't see that yet.
Yeah. It's just
it's coming.
Yeah, he slammed us with information about what Kiro's all about, and
basically using it as a platform. If any other VCs are watching the pre-race to a Formula E race, that they'll give him a call and work a deal.
I thought about it here for just a minute, and I was like, dude, if you're an LA entertainment consulting group, do you know how cool it would be to be like, "Oh, we want to work with this person. Why don't we invite him to a race?" Or like, "Why don't we show him the car?" Or like fly him out to this to lock down large long-term deals with people. It's a scheme. But honestly, too, I will say I'm proud of them. They really turned this team around. This was Neo 333. A back of the pack, arguably like Radio Shack quality build team, barely hanging on by a thread. Look at them now. They got 2 drivers that are beloved for their quirks, their rough edges. They're sniping around a little bit in the points with old hardware from Porsche. And they have celebrities in their paddock constantly, like truly nonstop. They had, I think, Mr. Beast crash one of their cars.
Yeah, they threw Mr. Beast in as like a throwaway kind of at the Evo sessions at Miami, where they do the Formula One races. So in Miami itself, not Homestead.
Yeah. So here's also my question. How did they manage to get Mr. Beast to drive on the Formula One track and they throw them into the swamp? Like, could they not have just scratched the Evo sessions and said, hey, guys, come here, race now? Mind-boggling to me.
That is above our pay grade. But to go back to Kiro doing phenomenal things, and now I didn't see that pre-race sales pitch. Now I need to go back and find it and watch it because I'm really excited. Like, I don't have a lot of money, but I'll invest. Like, how much do you want? One of many things that Kiro is doing so incredibly well is social media. They have. It's not even an argument. They have the best social team in Formula E. And one of the reasons why I give them that crown is because they post images like this.
Hey. Mega mind, dude.
We go
David
from
Beckmann.
We go from struggling in the race. I can't believe I just messed up. They're definitely going to talk about this at my club and I don't like it. To just
they approach social media with the same bullshit mentality that we do, and like the fact that I can share 90% of their posts with my
commoners
fantasy league.
Yeah. Well, even just like regular people that don't know this league. It's funny enough where you can share it with other people.
And like, that's why I'm like thankful that they do have a couple of drivers that I think actually have decent personality. Cause you put that out there with Pascal or God forbid, Sebastian Buemi, like someone's losing their job. But Cairo's got fucking clubmen and tick toints.
Yeah, that one was a little questionable.
They take risks.
Yeah, they do.
On that
they
social
do.
Media shit. And you can see the payoff, and that people are like flocking around this wacky little underdog team. I'm so thankful for it. Beckmann, we salute you. We know you're gonna dance that paint away. Probably at a club in Miami.
Yeah, he probably already did. This is old news at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's get into the meat and potatoes of what really turned this race upside down, starting with the first safety car, which was a little peculiar. All of a sudden, Nick de Vries just pulled off onto the offshoot and just decided to Control-Alt-Delete his car to just reset it. He wasn't stopped for very long. He wasn't really stopped at all. This wasn't a retirement. He just had to, press some button sequences and the car was back up to go and he was back on. Now they called the safety car out on this and safety car went around for about a lap, but then everything was good to go. This was on lap, I think 17 or 18, like just a little, kerfuffle and back on that we go.
I think it was a sturdy 2 laps that they brought it in, right? Because it was like one safety car comes out, they build everyone behind the safety car, and then safety car leaves, right?
Yeah, incident happened lap 17. So basically for the rest of 17 and then through 18. And at the end of 18, they were back in.
I've never got to see your actual show.
My notes.
Text notes.
My notes for when the race is going on.
Yeah. I'm ready to get more. Like, honestly, if this was the way that we ran our podcast, it would probably be a lot funnier and less me ranting and me more looking forward to what
these notes are. We won't show our lovely viewers pull the veil back and show them how the sausage is made. I just wanted to confirm that was the time. But yeah, so Nick de Vries goes off. It's just a little goof, and then he gets it back going again. And then the real safety car happened and the subsequent red flag when Max Gunther decided to perform a Gen 3 mating ritual with Jake Haypenny Hughes's Maserati, and somehow Mitch Evans decided to get involved with it because I guess in season 11, Jaguars are irrelevant and they're near the back of the pack. So there was a collision at, where would this be on this big wide open track? Oh, it'd be the part of the track that they fabricated that is a car length and a half wide, that little chicane there. That's where everything went to and big crash. I mean, the big crash of the race, where
who could have seen that coming?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars in attack mode at that time, 5+ minutes for most of them.
Yeah. Which again, that's one of those big bummers of what goes on with attack mode, right? Big bummer. Alternate could be that when some crazy like this happens, they just pause attack mode, and when you get attack mode, you get the remainder of that time when racing resumes again, right? That's one option that you can do to solve this, because it's like for the longest time, attack mode in Formula E was like a penalty almost. Like you had to take it like you would like a pit stop. For the first time, like truly first time, God, dude, watching that thing mount up right into his ear.
Terrifying.
Attack mode's good. It's really, really good. It's exciting to watch. The drivers clearly love being able to just like flip people off as they're just like flooring past them on every corner exit. So I think that there's a portion of like this penalty system that might need some adjustment for the future, in that not using attack mode to its fullest in itself is a penalty, and not something that needs to be penalized, let alone 10 seconds, which is like, a mile in these races. I don't know. What do you think, Dallas?
Well, it's like the regulations aren't keeping up with what's actually going on. I don't know if this was like a happy accident that's like, oh, turns out when you activate 2 of the wheels in addition to the rears and have that extra power, that it would be such an advantage.
We knew it was going to be an advantage.
Right. But like the FIA who makes the rules, because that's baked into the rules. Like at the end of the day, like you can't really, you could challenge it and contest it, but it's like, no, it says in the rules, like you have to take attack mode within the race, where back then it was like, fine, I guess I'll get this out of the way. I got to do 8 minutes. Cool. I'll do 4 and 4, whatever. Now it's much more strategic as to when it gets used, even more so at with this race being in the rear view mirror, because now we know, hey, you can't wait until the very last minute, because the very last minute isn't necessarily going to be the very last minute. It's going to be beyond. So maybe I feel like that's kind of what, the Formula E fan base is like, has their pitchforks up, like, hey, reform this rule. You need to change it. If there's a safety car, red flag or whatever, like they keep that time. It doesn't just run out. I don't know. I think, things have to go through the proper stages, which I don't know how that works as far as getting rule changes. Can they do it by the next race in Monaco? Do they have to wait? Is there like a vesting period? They have to wait until the next season to implement it? Like, I don't know. So if that's the case though, where they can't change it until next season, then that just is what it is. Plan accordingly.
No, I agree entirely. Like when I saw that it was a red flag, firstly, I was like, okay, well, this is going to be some drama. Because it's a red flag at the end of the race, like 6 laps left, right? So they're going to get through warm-up lap and all of this stuff. And then I didn't even do the calculation in my head until it started. And people were like, oh, they're going to all have penalties. There's no way that it's going to get concluded. Now, maybe if I like rub my hands together and pray, we can bring back Scott Elkins, because I'm sure he would have had the answer.
Yeah, this new guy, I don't know if it's an issue with the audio and video feed to the commentators, but this new guy, he is not even getting the respect of when he speaks, the commentators go quiet. They're talking over him Like, shut up,
Yeah.
newbie. You are not Scott
Yeah.
Elkins. Do your job, but don't talk to us. It's weird. But yes, that is a good point as well.
Yeah. So like basically, I think that there's like three outcomes that could have happened that I'm sure we're going to find like new rationale and talking points on going forward. Right. But like the first one is that, which I think would have been the best one because it would have made for a really, really dramatic finish, is just add an extra lap.
Yeah. Well, so there's an argument to be made about that. Technically, there was only 2 full laps under the safety car.
2 full laps under the safety car and then a red flag.
But then the red flag. So that 1 lap before the red flag was a waste of a lap. I do agree. But again, going to the rules, isn't there like a conversion between how many safety car laps equate to how many race laps?
3 laps for a safety car equals 1 added lap.
Yeah.
So you had that issue. In which case, you're stuck in a hard place. But also the in-laps and outlets of the safety car can be, thought about in an additional way. The other thing that could have happened is starting up, going through attack mode. You could have concluded the remainder of your attack mode that you had. Like the red flag paused where your attack mode was, right? You go back through, you're at that, 3 minutes, 57 seconds or something, right? That's specifically there for DaCosta, who managed to get his attack mode basically swept out from underneath it.
This is where it goes back to the point of they are at the mercy of the rules, because you see all the drivers here that still have that dot. All of them except Pascal and Degrassi were 6-minute marks. If they would have had that extra lap, if they would have red flagged this immediately and called them in instead of done a lap on the safety car and had that additional lap, I think Nato finished with 20 seconds left on his attack mode. So they would have finished.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is like, if you had added that extra lap, if they had added that extra lap of racing, Dallas, we would have had an absolute burner, an absolute storm to that finish line. Because the truth of it is DaCosta loses out because he has no attack mode, because it happened. Like, literally everyone got penalized for other people's crashes. The only people that walked away from it unscathed were Pascal Vergne, Degrassi, and in kind of some little way, DaCosta, because he was so far ahead when that was going. Mortara too, could have made work of it, but the entire field now is going to go through attack mode, gain a ton of ground, and they'll just be penalized because of stuff that was completely out of their control, right? Like that's normal kind of risk reward that happens in racing. And I like the quality of the risk of taking attack mode. Like, the gamble of saving it cannot pay off for you. But it's the whole field, man. it's the whole field. And for those people that did take it and were, aggressive in the way that they were taking attack mode, they got punted. The only people that succeeded were the people that had actually the worst strategy. So had you given that extra lap, you would have had Nato, you would have had the McLarens, you would have had DaCosta probably able to come back to some degree, because Pascal Vergne had bad. I think they crossed the line at 5% in this race.
Yeah.
They had an abundance of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Vergne was at 5%. Everyone else was at 7.
Right.
They would have trampled, they would have stampeded him. And then they would have gone on to have a wheel-to-wheel battle for those going through the end of that attack mode, all the way to the line. And if you ask me, in honesty, you would have found the real winner of that race because of that. The teams that did properly build that strategy, the teams that did properly allocate for energy, you would have had the true conclusion of this race. But we didn't get that. And it's because of all these, minor technical inclusions that came into this perfect storm. And that's why I say the chaos as chaotic as it was not satisfying. Like, I'm not satisfied with Verline getting that win. I'm not satisfied with Degrassi getting second place.
It is what it is. I mean, we talked about Misano. The rules are the rules. It's a silly rule. There's a reason why all of our curse words are getting censored with cha-chings, and there's big old fines above our heads now. Yeah. It's and just the rules.
I know. And the entirety of the paddock top to bottom went to bat for DaCosta, though. Because it's like...
That's true.
Like, we went to bat for DaCosta. That's bullshit. Like, our entire fantasy league went. As spectators, to see how well your drivers are doing and know that, like, doesn't matter how well they're going to do, they're going to get a 10-second penalty. Imagine for Norman Nato, who got pole position and then won the race, and he's going to walk away with 11 points for outperforming everyone for the entire weekend. You know, that's it. It's like, I empathize with these drivers that went on to go put on like a fantastic show.
Right. Oh yeah, no, I get that. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's the coolest thing, but you're kind of stuck with what was there. Think back to Abu Dhabi 2021 with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. That people are still just held up on that. Now that was arguably just bad race directing, but there was still some precedence behind that call of the rules to let the lapped cars go through to whatever. It's like the cards fall how they will. And as fans, we can kind of just be like, okay, like we're along for this ride. Like it is what it is. So I don't know if they'll make changes to this rule. I don't see it happening this season. And are we going to see another incident where it does happen, where there is a safety car or a red flag and then multiple drivers get disqualified or get penalized for finishing?
Yeah, you know what? I frankly just hope they don't come back to Miami. We're gonna put tariffs on bringing you into the country.
Well, let's phrase this. We have this clip of Gunther dismounting Hughes and then backing into Evans. This is a perfect example of what Formula E is doing to the United States market and just trying to get the fuck out of Dodge.
How are your Neo stocks doing, by the way?
Haven't checked them. Probably not great.
Teams about the incident, presumably, and you can see that Formula E cars do have reverse. Oh,
the crunch.
For Mitch Evans, he gets clattered for a second time by Gunther.
Honestly, dude, I feel like Gunther is the most sledgehammer driver we have on the grid nowadays, dude.
Even more than the butcher himself.
I'm starting to think like there's a new butcher in town.
The crunch.
You can see that Formula E cars do have reverse. Oh, and that's
dude, the commentator laughing.
They know it's a joke too, and they're getting paid for it, which is like the most awesome part of it.
Yeah. Also, I just gotta say, what the fuck is going on, Jaguar? Is it just like James Barclay is rolling up to each race event with his lorazepam, looking for the next step? Like, we're in Taiwan. It's a White Lotus reference.
I don't get it, but it's still funny. I've never watched the show, but I like it. I don't know. Nick Cassidy got a 5-second penalty for track limits. Mitch Evans was. Oh, the crazy thing about this crash is both Gunther.
I forgot that he got a penalty for track limits on top of his attack mode penalty too. Also, funny video. Ticktum did not get a diarrhea DNF, but he did have Mamma Mia Papa Pia break.
Guys, I don't see this being quicker than 10 minutes, so I'm going to go for a leak. I'll keep my helmet on and come straight back.
Yeah, copy, okay.
I got to take a wee.
This is what Dan Ticktum's all about. He's going to go pop out that seat.
It's like, hey, do you want to sit here and strategize how we're going to finish this race? No, I have to pee.
Yeah. Walk straight into that hot honey bucket.
Yeah, you know he really had to go because he couldn't wait. You could wait till you get back to the hotel, actually.
He's like,
piss
look,
in air conditioning.
If there wasn't a red flag and we had those 6 laps, I could have done it. But you're going to waste my time here, sitting in this hot sun. I'm taking a piss.
So it's always
And it's-
refreshing to
yeah.
see Dan Ticktum on team radio not having an absolute meltdown.
Oh, dude. He's chill as hell now, dude.
Yeah.
Dan Ticktum's chill as hell.
He's got a full bladder, but that's not why get an attitude over that.
Yeah.
He's fine. Let's move on to the DNFs because the diarrhea no finish is a little weird. Obviously, we have the single lone official did not finish in Jake Haypenny Hughes for getting mounted. And then we had Club Beckmann, David Beckmann, who he went to the pits. We showed the photo of him. He ended up finishing the race, or at least he got back out there, but he didn't have a official classification of finishing in a place. They just had him at 0. So I don't know if he got lapped and then decided to go back out there. So he stayed out, or his Kiro counterpart, Dan Ticktum, did he really have to pee, or did he get up and take a little squirt, but he still finished the race? So this one's kind of a tough one. Like, I feel like we're on the same level as the race directors trying to figure out to add laps or whatever. Like, we're in that same boat of like, who do we give the diarrhea no finish to for Miami? Should we just give it to Miami? Just the event?
The DNF of this week is Miami Homestead Speedway. Like, the whole race, the entire race failed. I'm blown away that this race was approved.
So it had to be a last minute thing, because otherwise the Formula E would be looking at 3.5 months between a rape.
No, I mean, like, they were so excited about it. They're like, haha, Portland, we're glad you've been so successful. How about we go next level? I go put it up on Miami, huh? No, this is God. Miami Homestead Speedway. This place and this race, dude.
One last thing before we go, we had a really interesting question from the Nikki94 on YouTube in the Jeddah episode.
Hey, Nikki.
We didn't get a doubleheader, so we didn't get pit boost on this race, but I believe Monaco will have pit boost because that is a doubleheader.
That's going to be absolutely insane.
So,
oh my God.
They ask, and this is ironic too, given what happened at Homestead Miami.
Hold on a second. Does Monaco have enough electricity to do a pit boost?
They probably.
Or are they just gonna turn the lights off in half the apartments?
They're gonna take the casino.
They're gonna do a brownout.
They're gonna shut. Yeah, they're gonna shut the lights off in the casino for a little bit to make it work. Or they're gonna have the yachts out in the bay just revving to make the power
diesel
with cords.
generators. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good question. Municipal city planner engineers, they probably will figure it out. I don't know. But going back to the Nikki 94's question, should races be longer with pit boost?
Actually, when I first read this, my initial thought is yes, because I always want more racing. Like, I always feel like the Formula E races could be a little bit longer, right? Like, they're like hour-ish. If you're unlucky and there's no accidents in the race and you just watch a bunch of cars, streaming top to bottom, it's like 45 minutes if it's a very clean race. But we don't like those ones. We like when there's a little bit of action, like a safety car or two, because it mixes everything up. Those ones are about an hour. So my initial answer was like, yeah, I think, yeah, I would want that. But now that I look at the question again, I think the answer is no, because then they're going to drive slower. They're not going to drive, balls to the wall, like hard, which is what pit boost lets you do, as it gives you an extended attack mode, which is when I think the cars are the coolest. So I don't know. What do you think, Dallas?
I think pit boost races, they don't need to be, super long, like a bunch of added laps. But I think there is room. I get what you're saying, and there's a good argument there. But if you make it worthwhile to come into the pits, if there is an extra, 5-6 laps in those normal races because you have the power and you can still push it, I say why not? Because again, I'm just like you. I'm in the same boat of wanting more racing. So it can go either way. I guess we'll see where the technology goes and if we can get longer races. But I mean,
yeah, like if the race distance itself like was going to be longer, right? I think attack mode would have to be at every race, or the pit boost would have to be at every race in order to promote the longevity of it. In which case, I think it's a fundamental feature. It's not like a little add-on. I'm reserving my judgment until we get through this season, and I've seen pit boosts happen multiple times. Because for all we know, Jeddah was kind of a fluke, and it just happened to go off scot-free, and not even scot-free. I'm pretty sure it tanked Jake Dennis's car and race, but like I didn't remember that part. People in the comments did. They said, "You guys, what are you talking about?" Jake Dennis's race and potentially long-term future in Formula E was in peril. So we'll see.
Well, hopefully Monaco doesn't burn to the ground, because that would make it real difficult for Formula One to race. Or are they before or after? I think F1 comes after. Anyways, lovely city.
Yeah.
The Nikki 94, thank you so much for your question. If you drop questions down in the comments, we'll cover them. So yeah, next race is Monaco. In pretty short, I mean, compared to 50 something days, May 3rd. So we got a couple weeks. About 3 weeks.
Oh, and we'll just pop this up on screen after the fact, because I think we've gone through much of our recording allotted time for you all. Big episode, lots of raving. Kiro scored some good points.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So they're actually still behind Neo by race 6. Neo was at 15 points, race 6. They're only at 12. And then by race 7, Neo had 23 points.
Yeah, but race 7 was actually 6 and 7, I believe, were Misano, where they actually showed up. Or one of those was actually, it might have been race 6. That was their big spike.
Yeah. So basically, 23 is the points to beat for Kiro. We're at 12. So right now they're kind of like neck and neck with last year. We'll see. Also, we touched briefly on the Evo sessions. I don't think there's much more to say about it.
It's driver 61 on YouTube, Scott Mansell, who was like the very qualified guest of honor and not just a TikToker. He has a really good video on his YouTube channel if you want to see more.
I watched it as well. Yeah, he had a blast. That was awesome. Well, actually, no. I think the Evo sessions in general were confusing but I was stoked that they were doing something different.
Right.
I think that it was so confusing to people as to what the was going on, and then all of a sudden, Mr. Beast is in a race car.
Which he wasn't even on the docket, which is the wild thing.
Yeah, he wasn't. Like, if they had just promoted that Mr. Beast was going to be racing at this thing, they probably would have had a lot more viewers, and they probably would have reached a lot more people. But instead, just said, "Hey, Mr. Beast." I was at work, and I got a message from Formula E on Instagram that was just like, "Mr. Beast has crashed a Formula E car," and I just like looked up and I turned to my coworker and said, "Mr. Beast crashed a race car in the series I like." And he said, "What's that series you like again?" And I said, "It's not worth it." I just said in my head, I was like, "It's not worth it to explain this." Again, I've explained it so many times, and now I have to explain why Mr. Beast is in one of those race cars. Why do I have to do this?
We've been given a tough challenge as a fan of the sport to try and spread the gospel.
What the did I do?
Because I tell people, it's like, "Oh yeah, I do a Formula E podcast," and they're like, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah, it's like Formula One but all electric." They're like, "Oh." And that's usually where it ends. And then if there is a follow-up, it's like, are they faster than Formula One cars? Like, no, not at top speed, but actually technically off the line and in the corners, they're a little quicker.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, I get you.
Alrighty. Well, that's going to do it for the Miami E-Prix. Be sure to check us out on, if you're a listener, check us out on YouTube at Circuit Breaker Pod. Or Breakers Pod with an S, Circuit Breakers Pod. And if you're a viewer and you're on the go and you want to listen, just search Circuit Breaker Formula E on any podcast platform. It'll be there. Taylor, I will see you after the doubleheader in Monaco.
I'll see you there, man.
Goodbye.